Spying on our education institutions, stealing America's valuable secrets and research, taking advantage of our free and open society. The lengths China will go to in its espionage efforts are truly disgraceful, and they'll definitely shock you. Hello, my name is Vicki Hartzler, Congresswoman representing Missouri's 4th District of the United States House of Representatives. As we examine the full scope of China's threats towards our nation, we must discuss its attempts to conduct malign influence operations within our own borders. Thanks for being with us as we enter the 3rd installment of our 4-part series. Let's get started shining a light on China's malign influence. A large propaganda machine has attempted to influence the United States here at home. Its creator? The Chinese Communist Party, also known as the CCP. Through their operations, China threatens academic freedom and attempts to steal sensitive U.S. research. The CCP does not just have a whole-of-government approach to exert their malign influence around the globe, but rather a whole-of-nation approach, thanks to its national intelligence law. That law states that all Chinese citizens have a legal responsibility to participate in intelligence work on behalf of the Chinese government. This creates a very serious threat to our open and free academic system here in the United States. China has positioned education centers all across America. What are they called? Confucius Institutes. Since 2004, the Chinese government has sponsored Confucius Institutes on college and university campuses around the world. The agency of the Chinese Ministry of Education provides teachers, textbooks, and operating funds to offer Chinese language classes in universities and other academic institutions in the U.S. and around the world, including Confucius classrooms in elementary, middle, and U.S. high schools. These institutes play a role in China's effort to influence public opinion abroad, and they have the potential to recruit influence agents, so-called, on U.S. campuses to engage in cyber espionage and intellectual property theft. How does the CCP achieve this? The Communist Party uses some of its own citizens studying abroad and working in academic institutions to spread the party's narrative on Tibet, Taiwan, Tiananmen Square, and China's sovereignty claims in the South China Sea. Framed as simply language and cultural centers, Confucius Institutes censure discussion on Tibet and Taiwan, and they interfere in broader campus events on behalf of the CCP. They hold craft and music programs for children and sponsor faculty trips to China, all to promote goodwill among Americans and tamp down negative impressions. The former head of propaganda for the Chinese Communist Party declared, "The Confucius Institute is an appealing brand for expanding our culture abroad. It has made an important contribution toward improving our soft power. The Confucius brand has a natural attractiveness. Using the excuse of teaching Chinese language, everything looks reasonable and logical." At the height of the program, there were approximately 100 U.S. educational institutions with Confucius Institutes and 519 Confucius classrooms based in primary and secondary schools in the United States. As the purpose of these institutes has become better understood, many universities have begun to divest themselves from the institutes, including our very own University of Missouri, which I'm very grateful for. In 2019, all but 6 states had at least one Confucius Institute, according to the Government Accountability Office. Thankfully, the National Association of Scholars, a nonprofit advocacy group, reports that the number of Confucius Institutes in the United States fell from 103 in 2017 to 55 in 2021. Theft of America's scientific research is unacceptable. Unfortunately, China's threat is widespread. According to a report published by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, China's military sponsored more than 2,500 military scientists and engineers to study abroad in countries worldwide between 2007 and 2018. The same report found that People's Liberation Army researchers co-authored peer-reviewed academic literature with academic counterparts in the United States more than any other nation. Some PLA-affiliated researchers mask their military background, allowing them to work at top universities without the school's knowledge of their military affiliation. This may seem hard to believe, but these spies have already been caught numerous times on American soil. In November 2020, Song Zhuzing, a professor of internal medicine at The Ohio State University and Penn State University, pled guilty to making false statements to federal authorities as part of a scheme to use over $4 million in grants from the National Institutes of Health to develop China's expertise in rheumatology and immunology through his undisclosed partnership with a Chinese university controlled by the Chinese government. In August 2020, Xing Dongqing, a professor at Texas A&M, was charged with conspiracy, making false statements, and wire fraud. He was a participant of the 1,000 Talents Plan, which was established by the Chinese government to recognize and recruit leading international experts in scientific research, innovation, and entrepreneurship, but has been alleged to be an attempt by China to gain access to new technology for economic and military advantage. Another way China accesses our information is through espionage, stealing secrets from U.S. businesses. Let's take a look at a few examples from just last year. In November of 2020, an electrical engineer with Raytheon was sentenced to 38 months in federal prison for transporting sensitive missile technology to China on his laptop. In October of last year, a Chinese energy company, a U.S. oil and gas affiliate, and a Chinese national were indicted for conspiracy to steal technology from a Houston area oil and gas manufacturer. And in June of 2020, a Chinese national was convicted under charges of economic espionage and theft of trade secrets from two companies involved in semiconductor design and processing. Cracking down on these crimes is a good start, but what can we do federally to counteract China's influence operations? Let's dive into the solution. Tackling malign influence is not an easy issue to solve. However, there are actions we can take today that will hold China accountable. First, it is critical for U.S. federal agencies such as the Department of Education, DHS, and the FBI to educate institutions about the threats posed by working with Chinese organizations such as Confucius Institutes and the 1,000 Talents Program. Second, the United States must secure its visa system to ensure individuals who we know have engaged in espionage and IP theft against the United States are not allowed back into our country. And third, U.S. universities must stop conducting collaborative research with PLA-connected entities. In addition to these critical steps, the following legislation also targets China's operations. The National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, for fiscal year 2021 includes provisions that would require disclosures of foreign funding sources in applications for federal research awards. It also establishes limitations on funds to institutions of higher education with Confucius Institutes unless the institution imposes requirements providing to protect academic freedom, prohibit the application of any foreign law on any campus of the institution, and grant full managerial authority of the Confucius Institute to the U.S. university. I also introduced 3 bills last Congress to tackle espionage efforts from China: the Protecting America from Spies Act, the People's Liberation Army Visa Security Act, and the Countering China's Theft of American Research and Innovation Act. In addition to the federal efforts, my office and I also successfully advocated for the termination of the Confucius Institute at the University of Missouri in Columbia. I'm proud of our nation's efforts to confront China's malign influence operations here in America. While our work is not yet complete, we have taken great steps in recent years to put us firmly on the right path. As always, my name is Vicki Hartzler, Congresswoman from Missouri's 4th District. Thank you for watching our third part of our series detailing China's threats. I hope you'll stay tuned for our final installment regarding this nation's terrible human rights abuses. We'll see you then.